Welcome to the Cannabis Podcast. I'm your host, Efrain, and we got Ashley Montoya with me and as our co-host. And
hi, guys.
Yeah, and also Natasha as well. It's our first episode. Don't mind us. You know, we're all learning as we go, so no judgment here. But we're excited to bring this content to you guys. It'll be, honestly, a first of its kind. We want to celebrate the intersection of cannabis and fitness and all the benefits that do come along with all that. So with us, we'll be highlighting experts, enthusiasts, and activists within the cannabis and fitness industries. And our first guest for our first episode today will be Natasha Carroll. But before all that, Ashley, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So my name is Ashley, and I'm the co-host of the Cannabis Podcast. I am so excited to be able to bring you guys information on the integration between working out with cannabis and relaxation when it comes to fitness. So I'm very, very excited to be able to go on this journey with us together, and we're going to have a blast here. It's going to be a fun time.
Totally agree, honestly. And Natasha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started doing fitness right around the COVID pandemic. I was working a lot in the bar industry, the club industry, and I really wanted to kind of make my exit out of there and thought teaching fitness and health was a much more prosperous adventure for me. So once the COVID pandemic happened, I had enough time for myself to earn my certificates and earn my degrees to be able to teach health to others. And so I took that opportunity and I ran with it. So I do want to do both. I do want to be in fitness and in the cannabis industry. And so I'm trying to find a balance between the both and use them both to my advantage.
And we love that because with this platform, we do want to create a space where we can continue the conversations towards destigmatization in the cannabis community, honestly.
Definitely.
So it starts with pushing these conversations forward with guests like Natasha.
Yes, sir.
So Natasha, I have here that you are a peer support for people in drug and alcohol recovery. Really impressive, inspiring stuff.
Wonderful.
Guiding them using trauma-informed yoga. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, on my little adventure during the COVID, trying to discover myself and find my passion for yoga, I entered a counseling facility for drug and alcohol rehabilitation to expand my knowledge on it. I had been in alcohol recovery 7 years ago, right before I was pregnant with my son, and I feel like it changed my entire life. I have a brand new perspective on everything. I have brand new goals. I have a brand new drive and a brand new life because of it. And so I wanted to kind of have people feel the same way that I feel about it and just know that if I could do it, they could do it.
Wonderful.
And just the background that I come from, partying, clubs, drinking, I wanted to kind of throw it all out and teach health and just know that other people can do it as well, you know. I come from the same background of this whole party lifestyle and this whole alcohol lifestyle, and I didn't like it either, and I know how hard it is to give that up. And so I wanted to go back to the counseling place that I got better at and teach there and expand my knowledge. And while I was teaching yoga there, I took the opportunity to become a peer support and sit in group and learn cognitive behavioral therapies to kind of help rewire people's thinking and rewire people's brain, because it's sort of like they have a glitch, right? And you just kind of want to enter that new processing system into their brain. And so it's really fun that I got to learn that as well. We use a lot of affirmations, a lot of I am statements, a lot of thought-stopping processes. So any type of negative or ruminating thought that they have, I teach them how to stop those ruminating or stop those bad thoughts, and I teach them how to physically push them out and then re-enter a new thought pattern that's much more healthy and productive.
That's amazing.
You are such a powerful
that's
pivoter
amazing.
with your perspectives.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I really do believe if I could do it, anybody else can do it, and that's what I go there to teach them and inspire them to have that thought like, oh, well, she did it, I can do it, because I had that same clarity thought when I was in counseling. I saw my my counselor, and he came from a very bad background, and he now owns the entire counseling facility. And so I sat there and I thought, well, if he could do it, I can do it. And I loved the idea of just being healthy and fit opposed to the lifestyle I was living before.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like, especially since it takes a lot to be able to comfort somebody when they're going through something like that, and be able to comfort them and tell them you are worth it, you are positive, you can do this.
Right.
And since it has such a, emotional tie to you in this work that you do, like, I really applaud that. That's amazing. I'm so glad that you are able to take your fitness journey into this and help other people and show them, like, it's not impossible. I can do this. You can do this.
Right.
We can do this together.
Yes, it starts with believing that thought, like believing that you can, and it starts there, and from there you can just move on.
The world can be such an ugly place sometimes.
Right.
So when you find those people and you find that avenue where you are trying to make things better, you can't make the whole world better, but you can make our community better. And, I really applaud you for that. That's incredible, Natasha. That's incredible.
Thank you.
And what has made you, think to pair the cognitive behavioral therapy and yoga?
I didn't at first. At first, I thought I was just going to be teaching them physical yoga. I thought I was just going to be getting them physically healthy. And then once I started there, my manager presented me with an opportunity to become a peer support. And so it's about a 3-month training, I believe, that teaches you how to use all those things like cognitive behavioral therapies, thought-stopping processes. And it was through that training that I figured out, because yoga is already sort of in the mindset, and I just learned how to delve deeper into that and the science behind it, behind the way our thought process works. And I just caught on really quickly, and it made it easy to teach them.
And the trauma-informed yoga, and could you give us an example?
Yes. So a lot of the times when you're in a facility like that, the people that go there, they've had tremendous trauma. And so you want to be a little bit more empathetic, more compassionate towards them, a little bit more sensitive. It's not like when you go to the gym and you're just trying to get physically fit. We sit on a mat, we take a time to find that breath, because most of the people in there, they're not even doing the breathing part. And so it even just starts with that one breath, learning how to take that big inhale, and kind of even sometimes some of them have to force themselves to take that deep inhale in, because a lot of us are holding our breath, or we're scrunching our shoulders and holding our breath because we don't want to let whatever we're holding onto, we don't want to let it go. And so they're hanging on tightly to that, and it forms physically in our body by putting our shoulders up. We hold it in our jaw, we hold it in our breasts, and people hold their breath so tightly. And so they have to learn to let that go and take that deep breath in. And then as part of the brain process goes, once you learn to control your breathing manually rather than automatically, you can shut your fight or flight sensor off down here at the bottom of your brain. A lot of people that experience trauma, their fight or flight on is on constantly. And so by learning how to control your breath and learning how to control your heart rate, you can shut off this process behind your brain. And once this process behind here shuts off, the top part of your brain lights up.
Wow.
And so once this top part of your brain lights up, you're using your conscious center rather than your fight or flight. So now you're moving your brain manually rather than automatically. And so now your breath doesn't become automatic, your breath becomes manual, and now you're choosing your thoughts, you're choosing your breath, and you can turn that fight or flight sensor off, and it makes your anxiety calm down, makes your shoulders, it brings them back down, and you don't get that sense of panic all day that you don't quite know where this panic is setting in from, you don't quite know where this anxiety is coming from, and it's usually because we can't turn our fight or flight off. And I just teach them to control that through breathing and affirmations. Take the breath. I usually start by telling them to take a deep inhale and think of a bad thought. That bad thought that they can't get out of their mind, think of that and hold it in your brain, and then finally take a forceful breath out and finally let it go. But then take a pause in between and choose your next thought. and choose it well. So that's where the affirmations come in. You want to say, I am valuable. And then your breath comes out lighter.
Wow.
And then
Wow,
your
that's
next
incredible.
thought, I am precious, I am loved. And then you can kind of start to train your brain to have more positive thoughts, turn your fight or flight off, take that breath, and you're more calm throughout your day and less anxiety, less reason to run to the bar and grab a drink.
And who would have thought that breath work? It was a simple
Right?
as breath
Yeah.
work,
It seems
just
simple.
Slow down.
It seems simple, but people they hold on to it so tightly. They don't want to let go.
It makes me think of how much I'm personally holding on to and I'm personally
Right,
doing.
exactly.
And, that kind of self-reflection. And we get so busy in our day-to-day lives with everything that kind of reflection, I need to remember myself to do that kind of reflection.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And it's a matter of telling yourself to do it, right? Yeah.
And how have you, because you do pair it with cannabis now.
Yes, I do.
How do you go about that?
Well,
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, honestly.
it's kind of contradictory, and it's kind of like I walk on the wall with this, because when you do enter like an alcohol recovery program, they tell you absolutely zero substances, including cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
But I find when I smoke cannabis, I kind of crave the alcohol a little less. And so personally, for me, that works. And so I do kind of walk a line here with that, and it is still a little controversial. So
But you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
That's true. That's true.
Our whole goal with everything is to bring to light to people who aren't so informed about cannabis, about the good, positive benefits that it have. Yes, every single thing has its downfalls. You have aspirin, Tylenol, all that. They've all got side effects. They've all got stuff like that. It's the same thing with cannabis. Sometimes people react to it differently than other people, and that's where you learn how to properly medicate yourself.
Right.
If you over medicate yourself, it's just the same as over drinking
Absolutely.
or
Yes.
anything like that. And we want to bring that knowledge, and we want to bring that, kind of knowledge to people that you can medicate in a certain way and still be able to
Right.
function as normal, still be able to do as you want to do.
Yes.
So, hopefully we can kind of bring more information out there so it's not just seen as, oh my gosh, it's drugs, it's horrible, it's terrible, it's bad.
Right.
Like, it could really help somebody center
does.
that can't do it automatically themselves. It takes a lot to be able to take those deep breaths.
It
And if
does.
you have something calming you a little bit and helping you a little bit more, then you can get to that center of peace easily.
I think so. Yeah, no, well said. I do when I'm in counseling, and I have clients that ask me, well, I still want to use cannabis, but they always tend to want to overdose. And so I do make it a strong point, you have to take it like any other medication. You have to dose yourself properly.
Yeah.
You have to know what type you're intaking, and you have to use it in a certain way. You can't use it and just go on a binge, but it is a medication, and you do have to take it properly. But no, I love that. Well said.
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, I've had anxiety, like generalized anxiety disorder, since the age of 15. So I'm like going on 31,
Oh, no.
32, right? And now that I'm like, I'm loving that we have a platform now where we can safely have these conversations of,
Yeah.
of like, hey, I've also been struggling, and I've also been utilizing this as a tool,
Right.
This is a
We're bringing
safe
each other
place.
together, so
Yes,
it's great.
I like
I'm really-
it.
And
This
so,
is a safe place. This is a safe place for all cannabis enthusiasts, lovers, and all of that, or even somebody who doesn't know anything about cannabis to just
Exactly.
come and, fill the information, see what's out there, and make their own informed decision. So,
Yes.
and we have the proof, lived experiences.
Yep.
So that's why we want to continue interviewing those people that have directly benefited from cannabis consumption and fitness itself,
Yep.
or a combination of the two.
Yeah, and I do, not all the time, but I do very often before I go into the gym, I inhale my cannabis, and I find myself to be much more creative doing yoga while I inhale my cannabis.
No, I'm like,
You don't
no,
say.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, and I am, there's just certain poses, like sometimes I just feel like I'm forcing my body into this pose, and I'm just like pushing and pulling. And then I'll take that break, I'll take my breath, and I'm like, okay, let me just take a pause. Maybe I need to slow down a little bit, and I will inhale my cannabis. I'll come back out and I listen to my music, and
It helps me engage
like,
too.
wow. Yeah.
my flow becomes so much better. I'm like, oh wow, I hit a new milestone today, or I couldn't do this yesterday, but I was able to get deeper into it today. And just like I'm not quite sure what it is, but the flow is just much more
Natural.
Yeah.
natural. Yes.
Definitely.
So we're going to get into some questions. Are you ready?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Which lesson has been one of the most valuable to learn during your journey?
You know, that is a tough question because there is so many valuable lessons since I've learned from my journey. I think that the most valuable lesson I've learned throughout, if I had to pick, would be to have discernment and have respect and empathy for yourself and for others, and just to show that compassion and just know that not everyone is on the same journey, and everyone's doing something different. Everyone's somewhere different in their journey, and you just kind of have to accept them for where they are and meet them there, rather than kind of pushing them into a place or stuffing them into a place that they're not ready for. You know, have that respect and have that empathy and compassion, not only for yourself in your own journey where you're at, but also for others and their journey and where they're at.
And give yourself grace and others grace.
Exactly,
you know?
yes. Mm-hmm.
I like that. I really do.
Yeah.
You have one?
Yeah, I do have one. So in your line of work, specific in your line of work, what keeps you motivated to continue, especially when you come across like more difficult clients, when you come across more difficult clients who are there because they have to be there, not necessarily want to be there? What continues to make you motivated to, you know, continue to do your work?
I think waking up in the morning and just having that self-discipline and that self-drive to want more. I think it starts with the want. And then once you have that want, you start to sort of feel like you need it, and then you tend to want to grab at it more. But I wake up in the morning and I have discipline, whether I want to go, whether I'm going to encounter a client that's more difficult. I go and I do it for myself, and I wake up and I use my breath and I use my affirmations, and I tell myself I can do this. I tell myself I'm loved, I am worth it, I am valuable, I'm precious. And I just kind of get up and I force myself to show up, because showing up is 90% of the battle. And once you get your body there, the rest will follow. And these things that I tell my clients, I just repeat back to myself. You're loved, you're worthy. Getting there is 90% of the battle. And so I just get my body there first. And that's what motivates me, is just getting there. Yeah, no, it's a matter of that want and that drive to just wake up and get there. And once you're there, you're like, okay, well, I'm already here. I might as well just do it, and I might as well experience this. I might not have this opportunity again. And even if I mess up, that's okay. I give myself grace. I give myself some respect and just accept myself for where I'm at in my journey. And so the things I tell my clients, I just use that to tell myself. And I use those cognitive behavioral therapies on myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because, like, I know, especially, you must know how this feels, but when you see, like, a client of yours click, and they're like,
Right.
you're like, and they see, like, the benefit, or, like, they're doing it
Yes.
correctly, and it's just empowering, honestly.
Right, it
You know,
is. They
it's-
have that kind of aha moment, and I had that moment of clarity, and I always want my clients to have that. I go in, and some of the tougher ones, I'm like, how am I going to get them to have that click? Like, what am I going to say, or how can I word this, or what can I do? And that's what also motivates me too, is because maybe I had a bad day with a client. I'm like, they're not quite there yet. Like, and so I try to come up all night, like, how can I get them there? What can I do differently? Or, you know, what can I do to make them have that aha moment? Because they could have all this, but they just need to see it first. And how am I going to get them to see it? And so I'm always trying to, like, push, or always trying to do better, or take a step forward. And
That's
that kind of
great.
drives me there.
Wonderful.
Second question. All right. Third. I mean, technically third. My second. With the technicalities. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, I love being here. Thank you.
Let's see. Do you have any specific advice that you could offer other aspiring young professionals?
I think if I had any advice for aspiring young professionals is, there's lots. Which one do I pick? If I had to choose, I think it would just start in the gym, or start day one, start with your breath, and start somewhere. Wherever you are on your journey, you're never going to feel ready. It's always going to feel kind of, oh, I don't feel prepared. Or maybe this day you kind of want to have those excuses to not get you there. And I think wherever you are in your journey, just start that day. With anything, wherever you are in that journey. Say you haven't drinking water in a week and you're like, oh gosh, I haven't even given myself water. Start there, drink a glass of water today, and then you did better today than you did yesterday, and build on top of that. Okay, well, I could do better tomorrow. I'll drink 2 glasses of water tomorrow. And as long as you're doing one thing that gets you towards that goal, I would probably suggest having a SMART goal. So in counseling, we use SMART goals. And SMART's an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So anytime you set out to make a goal, you want it to be as specific as possible. So by making a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goal, you want to have a time frame on it. I will drink X amount of water by a certain day, by 9 o'clock at night. And then tomorrow, make another goal. I will read, and it has to be specific, I will read 2 books by Friday next week. And so start to develop those skills in making goals. Start to develop your skills in time management. You want to have a really good schedule. I keep a very consistent schedule, and I try to stick to it as best as I can. I make myself SMART goals every day, and I try to take one step closer towards those goals every day. So I would say start wherever you are and just build on top of that every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I applaud that.
I feel like big, huge goals are composed from little tiny goals that are on your
Exactly.
day-to-day basis.
Yes.
You want to get somewhere important and you want to do something big,
Right.
Hitting those minor goals that you have on the day-to-day basis will get you to that big goal.
And it
so
will.
that's incredible. That's
And
incredible.
it will, and you'll start to see the difference day after day. Hard work, it's not going to happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, so you have to take those one small steps each and every day to get you very closer, and those steps start to add up every day.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
How exciting! So those were our questions.
Yeah, great.
And so where can our audience find more of you?
Oh no, I try to stay off the internet or social media as much as I possibly can, but I am on Facebook. You can look me up under Facebook, Yoko Ono. I tend to post a lot of science on there, or workout videos. I do every once in a while post cannabis.
We got to be careful about the regulations.
But
right?
I do. It's not very often
I
because you
know.
do have to be careful with the regulations.
Almost
But
banned.
I do every so often. There's some cannabis stuff in there.
That's nice.
But if you keep watching, I plan to open my yoga studio and flip into a cannabis consumption lounge.
Wonderful.
So maybe the next time we have an interview, it could be inside the lounge.
That would be
Wonderful.
so exciting.
Yeah, and then we'll be able to smoke in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And see where our conversation takes us there. I'm sure it'll be a whole different thing.
Right.
That's incredible.
And then-
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, thank you so much for, sharing your story with us and, being our first ever guest on the Cannabis Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so
for having
much.
me. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Counterfeit Podcast. We have our next guest, Tasia Clemons, with us. Hey,
Hey,
Tasia.
Tasia.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're doing great.
Doing great, doing great. So, Tasia, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. My name's Tasia, as was said, and I am a content creator, empowerment coach, and small business owner. So I do run 2 businesses right now, one called Redesigning Justice, empowering students who are impacted by incarceration. And then another one is my coaching business where I help people show up as empowered content creators and build an online community of their dreams. So that really launched beginning of January of this year. And then Redesigning Justice, I launched in the middle of the pandemic because I said there's a lot going on and this is the time that we need to talk about some things that are tough conversations that I'm always willing to have. So that's a little bit about me.
And wasn't the pandemic such a, intense reset, right?
It was a
I'm
whole
glad
thing.
that we aren't alone in those that took the opportunity to better ourselves and start businesses. Look at you now. And honestly, I want to mention that Tasia is also my personal social media empowerment content creator coach. she's she's incredible. Honestly, I recommend her services to everyone all the time. I honestly feel like I wouldn't be as comfortable doing this if I didn't start there. So there's that. Tasia, so where are you from, Tasia?
Yes, I'm from Massachusetts. So I grew up, was born and raised here, and then lived in New York for a good 5 or 6 years. That's where I got my master's degree in higher education and just said, you know what? I think it's time to come home. So I came home after that. I think after the pandemic, when things happened, I was like, I think I want to be closer to home and not miss those big moments. So my little sister's going to prom next week, graduation, and I'm so happy to be back.
That's so great,
That's
honestly.
wonderful.
And so what got you started with redesigning justice?
Yeah, so I was a college student impacted by incarceration. So my mom is labeled a felon in the United States for a variety of reasons, one of those being because she was caught with cannabis. So it's so interesting that we're having this conversation today. But two, my brother was also in and out of the system, and it really impacted me in college. I paid my whole entire way through college. I was a first generation college student. I had 7 jobs when I was in college just to pay my way through it. And I realized that a lot of people don't have these conversations about the intersectionality of being someone who's impacted by incarceration and someone who's a first generation college student. So I said, there's a need here because I'm definitely not the only person on this campus who has a mom or a dad or anything that was impacted by incarceration. So I decided there's a need and I need to fill it. And now I educate colleges and universities on how to support those students. So fun fact, we're launching a scholarship for a college student at the school that I graduated. So
Incredible.
I'm so excited.
That's exciting. That's awesome.
That's genuinely incredible.
Yeah, and so with your social media content creation, becoming an empowerment mentor, how did that start?
Yeah, so that started so when I worked as a resident director, when I was getting my master's degree in New York, I realized I had a real passion for helping people unlock their greatest potential. Like I saw a lot of people telling themselves these things that were literally not true, right? Maybe it was something that someone else told us, like, oh, you're not enough, or you're not this, or you're not that. So we really take on those stories, and that really changes our reality, right? It changes how we act. It makes us make certain decisions that we maybe wouldn't have chosen if we were actually empowered to make those choices, right? So at the end of December, I remember being like, okay, I've coached folks who were previously incarcerated before. And I was like, I really want to still have that coaching program, but have folks who were previously incarcerated start coaching those folks because they have that real intimate connection of I was also incarcerated. So they're really able to relate to people. But I remember being able to relate to people who were maybe they didn't have the most confidence and like they were telling themselves these stories about why they couldn't be a content creator, why they couldn't share their story with people and why social media was so scary. And I was like, no way. Like I cannot let people in my community think they're incapable of doing that. So December came around and I said, I'm going to be an empowerment mentor, and ended up literally putting my head down. And I was like, let me map out my entire program. How do I want to help people? What do I mostly want to help them with? So it was limiting beliefs and mindset that I noticed kept coming up for people who were following me and who I was talking with. And that's when I said, okay, that's the baseline foundation of my whole entire program, addressing limiting beliefs, conquering them, and having people show up as the most empowered versions of themselves.
You are so inspiring. Like,
Definitely.
do you guys see this?
This is
Dang.
incredible. You know, it's very rare to find somebody who has such a good heart and wants to help people that nobody else wants to help. When somebody goes into the system or family members of people who aren't in the system, nobody wants to talk about that or help them, or, you know, they just label them as like, you know, no longer good for this society. And, you know, it's very empowering and very amazing that you do the type of work that you do. It's incredible. One question that I definitely have for you is, you know, developing your program and the way that you've developed your program and, kind of gotten people that guidance, what kind of pushback and what kind of pushback and stuff have you received from your community or just people who don't understand the work that you do? And how have you overcome that? How have you told them, hey, this is something I'm passionate about. I don't care what you have to say. How do you overcome those, stigmas?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's definitely been a learning process. I feel like 3 years ago, Tasia would be like, you can't ask me that question because I haven't overcome it. It was really, really a learning process. But I definitely have been met with a lot of hate on social media specifically. So when I launched Redesigning Justice, and I was actually talking about, the stigma around cannabis, and I was talking about the war on drugs and all of these things that people were like, either they really knew a lot about or they knew nothing about and they just wanted to hate on me. When I got the hate, I realized it was coming from a place of ignorance. They don't know what they don't know, right? And of course, people can say whatever they want to say to me on the internet because they feel like this is the best way to get their point across. But it really was me realizing that whatever they're saying about me and what I'm passionate about, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with either fear, ignorance, whatever they are really fixated on and focused on. That's them, and I have to separate myself from that because ultimately what really matters is the people that I'm supporting, that I'm empowering, that I'm helping, right? And that is my main focus. So it really was tough at the beginning because there are so many times, both of you, so many times I went viral for something on TikTok having to do with the topics that I'm talking about, and that's met with a lot of greatness, and then it's met with a lot of hatred. And I'm like, well, I can't be liked by everybody. That's not why I'm even on this planet. I can't be liked by everybody, and I won't be. And that's totally okay. But the work that I'm doing matters because there's a lot of people who won't do this work because of maybe the hate that they'll get. Or, like you said, let's toss people aside. They're not human anymore. No, everybody's a human. We all make mistakes. It's just some of us get caught for those things. And
exactly. And honestly, we shouldn't be held to our mistakes of yesterday,
Yeah.
Every day is a new day.
Everybody grows, everybody learns, and the whole point of life and the whole point of going on an own personal journey is to move from where you were to where you want to be and where you want to go. We've all made some bad mistakes in the past. How many times have you looked back on your past and just sat there and thought that was the stupidest thing I could have done, and the outcome could have been a whole lot worse, but you change it and you kind of start changing who you are and changing the way that you view things. And, sometimes a lot of that is met with negativity because the people who want you to stay that person you were don't want to see that growth. And that's the kind of people we have to just push right on out.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot about that in my coaching program too. Efrain's here. You heard it all from me.
Man, and each little bit is more valuable than the last, honestly. You are doing such a great service, for
Wonderful.
So many communities, people that are feeling not held back by their, introversion, and people that are just new to the digital space, and then people that have been incarcerated. And you're doing great service. Thank you, Tasia. Yeah. We're gonna lead into some questions. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Awesome. All right, so honestly, I've been curious, how do you balance your work and personal life? I know burning out, is typical amongst entrepreneurs that just go head first without thinking about the toll that it can take on yourself personally. So how do you balance the two?
Yeah, I'm very intentional with my time. And what I mean by that is I often heard self-care is such a buzzword, right? Sometimes we wait for this one day to be like, I'm just going to take care of myself today and I'm good all the other days. And I'm like, no. We need to find ways to implement self-care every single day. So one thing that's really, really helped me with balancing it all is really finding time in the mornings when I have my most energy, I'm my most authentic in the morning, I'll say. And I'm so focused on making sure I get my walk in. I have the same routine every morning because I know what makes me feel good. So I go to the gym, I will come back, I get my walk in with my dog who's a whole thing of energy. So I'm like, you can't be upset around her. And I do my walk. I come home, make breakfast, feed my animals. And I'm just making sure I'm really intentional with that morning time, especially being someone that is all over social media. I'm really someone who's like, I need to back away from social media, especially in the morning time. I want to start my day off pouring into myself, because the rest of the day, right, especially as entrepreneurs, if you're serving people, if you're doing a service-based business, like, you're pouring into others all day. So I really want to make time every single day to pour into myself. I'm also very strict with my boundaries. So like 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whenever my day's over, my day's over. The laptop's shut, my phone's off, or on do not disturb, anything like that. So that way I really do have the time to make sure I'm balancing my personal life and putting things in my calendar that relate to me first, instead of like putting my work stuff in first. I put in all of my morning stuff and everything that relates to me first, and then I move forward. So I'm intentional, and I really want to make sure I see the layout of my week, so that way I know what's to come and how to prepare for everything.
Yeah, no, well said. And honestly, the importance of morning routines, it can't be underscored. So just gotta put that out there. Ashley?
Do you teach how to wake up in the morning? Is that something that happens? because I'm still struggling on that. I would love to have myself a morning routine.
What time is it?
I would love to have a morning routine, but I will hit that snooze until there is no more snooze left to hit. So
if you let her.
See,
listen, I don't know what it is. The mornings are my time. I will say, though, I'm not going to lie to you, when that alarm goes off at 4 a.m., I'm like, really? And then I'm like, okay, let's get up. And like, because I know how I feel I'll feel better after. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, forget about the now right now. Let me just get up, do what I have to do. And I know I'll feel better at like 6, 7 a.m. where I'm energized and ready to take on the day.
It's always like a dance, huh? Like you're just like, oh, I don't want to get up, but then once you get going, you're like, I love that I got up. Like I need to do this more often. It's a cycle.
Can't relate. Trying to relate. Trying to get there.
We're all human, right? Give yourself grace. Yeah, and so Tasia, like, how can our audience find more of your content, your resources, and services?
Yeah, so I'm all over TikTok. Tasia Empowers on TikTok. So if any folks want to start pursuing content creation on TikTok, that's really where I take my focus. And then Instagram, my full name is Tasia Clemons, so I'm on Instagram, and I'm like here and there on Facebook, but my name is Tasia Clemons over there. So folks can find me, but I'm most likely to respond on Instagram and TikTok.
And
Awesome.
And one last question: what could you offer What services could you offer anyway?
Yeah, so right now we have what Efrain was referring to earlier. Efrain's in Empowered Creations, which is my 8-month coaching program, where I literally empower folks to create content and actually lay the foundation of what content creation actually means, so that way you can sustainably show up. We hear a lot of nonsense about showing up 5-10 times a day and like burning yourself out, and that's really not my energy. So that's one of the services that I offer, but I also do intensives. So one-on-one intensives where we sit for an hour and a half, talk about content strategy, why you want to be a content creator, etc. And then you're able to really take off and have action steps to be able to move forward and pursue content creation. So if you have a business, if you have, you just want to create a community online, this is something that's really beneficial, because TikTok, social media is really the place to be when it comes to businesses and getting yourself out there. So that's what I can offer for folks.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And is it in any type of content creation? Like if somebody comes to you and tells you, I want to do cooking, and you kind of just go through the steps with them, like, okay, like this is the content creation you want to do type stuff. So it's any kind of content creation, correct?
Yes, any type of content creation. I really feel like content creation, how I see it, it's leadership, right? So I'm really wanting to create a variety of different leaders who are empowering other people. When you're showcasing your cooking, you're probably helping somebody who, I remember Efrain was showcasing cooking, and I was like, I need to save all these ideas because I stink at cooking. So you're really empowering people and helping people show up in a way that's for themselves, for those healthy meals or whatever that means, right? So any sort of content creation, I really want to help people realize they can totally be a content creator in whichever facet they want to be a content creator in.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for providing that kind of confidence to people. I'm sure, you know, when somebody gets to talking and stuff like that, they get this new confidence boost, and being able to provide that to somebody is just, you know, with all the work that you do and everything, being able to provide that confidence to somebody is that gratification that I'm sure you live for.
1,000%. If I can help or make one person confident today, I know I've done my job, so I'm good to go.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you for joining us, Tasia. And we'll see you. Oh, you'll be on again, I'm sure.
Definitely.
You've been a wonderful guest. But take
Thank
care.
you.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you
time.
so much, Tasia. You have a wonderful day.
Have a great day. See y'all later.
See
We'll
you
see
later.
you soon. Welcome back to the Cannabis Podcast with our next guest, Ilia Ordonez. How are you today, Ilia?
Hi. I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing well, doing well.
Doing good.
Just to give more info to our audience about you, Ilia is a health and mindset coach. She's also a cannabis athlete and a certified personal trainer. Could you tell us more about yourself, Ilia?
Yeah, so, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Yeah, I started actually dancing at a young age, and I went to college for dance, and I graduated with my BA in dance and psychology from Dean College in Massachusetts in 2016. And then shortly after became a Zumba instructor when I moved back to Miami. And during the pandemic, I decided to move back to Massachusetts. And I was already on the process of becoming a trainer. And I worked at a bodybuilding gym. I currently work for an all-women's gym. I started the first run club in the town I lived in for women. So we have that safe space for women to run together. I actually just did the Boston Marathon and now training for New York City Marathon. So I like to do a little bit of everything when it comes to fitness, whether it's dance, stretching, and yoga. I also do yoga at Wellness Hot Yoga. I'm doing an apprenticeship with Terry. And running, I just love all types of movement.
That's so incredible.
Great.
So how did you become introduced to cannabis and pairing that with fitness?
So, okay, this is going to sound crazy. So I started cannabis at a young age. I do not recommend anyone under the age of 21 doing cannabis, but I think we all been there at one point. And when I moved up to Massachusetts, it was already recreational up here. And I just always loved using it as like a pre-workout instead of taking like the actual like pre-workout that you see at GNC or Vitamin Shop, just because it will make me super tingly, it will make me super anxious. So using cannabis before working out made me very relaxed. Even as a trainer, I still get like that gym intimidation for some reason, and it'll make me super chill. And then finding different products here in dispensaries, such as Muscle Freeze, that is kind of like an icy hot, and that you could just apply with THC components, different type of like pre-workouts that have THC in it, and yeah, just combining it with fitness has been amazing for me, not using pre-workout anymore.
How incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's pretty like, I'm glad that we now have a platform to talk about like the positive benefits of cannabis and like how it can be used as a tool instead of a crutch, you know?
Especially when
Yeah.
it comes to the fitness space. Because I know for myself, I have a back injury. So I had a back injury when I was very young, had a back injury. And, you know, from there, it was really hard for me to get to the gym to work out. It was really hard for me because I would be under so much pain. So when I started using cannabis, when I started using cannabis for, you know, workout purposes and stuff like that, it relieved that pressure off of my spine. So that way I could push myself harder. So, you know, I'm glad that there are other people out there who know the benefits that cannabis can bring to fitness.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing how cannabis could be used with fitness. And I just love in the gym I work at, like we're very cannabis friendly too. So just combining with fitness, whether it's a pre-workout or after workout for that muscle recovery, or just using like a topical for those achy pains, whether it's your lower back, it's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and thank you
Definitely.
for creating such a safe space for, you know, people that maybe be on the fence of consumption, you know, like, and also pairing it with fitness too. Like, it's nice to have a space that you can trust, you know, to provide, you know, expert, you know, advice and instruction. That's great.
Of course, of course.
So we do have a few questions for you. Which of your skills have been key to your continued success?
Oh, definitely networking. Networking has been a top skill. Just going out, socializing, meeting different people. Whether it's in the fitness industry, when I first moved up to Massachusetts, I was working at a bodybuilding gym and just meeting different bodybuilders, and then connecting with the dispensaries nearby and just combining them. And if I didn't put myself out there, meeting like the owner of the dispensary near my apartment, I don't think I would have gotten invited to these events that she hosts, or different dispensary events, cannabis events, and different fitness events, and just meeting different people, just networking, because you never know which opportunities is going to open from a friendly conversation and just talking about whether it's fitness or cannabis. And just definitely networking has been a huge skill for me, just getting out there and socializing with people.
That's awesome. And you know what's so incredible is that we're also opening the state's first cannabis gym and lounge here in New Mexico. So if you're ever in the area, you're all welcome in.
I would so love to also teach like a dance, like my Zumba classes.
Zumba class.
Yes, yes. Did you have a question?
Yeah. So being in the industry of fitness and then cannabis as well, and kind of, you know, the consumption on it, you kind of have a good idea of how, you know, they go hand in hand with everything. What was the point for you where you decided that, okay, this is the space that I want to be in? I want to be in fitness and I want to find a way to integrate cannabis into it. What was your turning point for that?
So definitely my turning point was, they always say in fitness, you gotta have like that niche. Like, are you gonna be a weight loss trainer? Are you gonna be a bodybuilding trainer? Are you just gonna be the Zumba girl, the yoga trainer? And which is the type of clientele you're gonna attract? And for me, I was like, I'm so open about cannabis. Why not the cannabis community? Why not be authentically myself? Like, yes, I use cannabis on a daily basis to help me with my training, help me with muscle recovery. And with the cannabis community, there's so much a variety of people. And I feel like ever since I've been authentic about that with my clientele, with the gym I work at the yoga community, it just attracted more people to me. My tribe, which is also my clients, coming to my classes, booking out my classes, whether it's a one-on-one training, because that was the turning point when I was like, what is going to be my niche, especially since I love to do a little bit of everything, but which community am I going to attract? And it was just cannabis for me. I was just like, I'm open to cannabis, so I want to meet more cannabis people.
Yeah.
And you're on the perfect platform for that.
Yeah, definitely. This is the perfect platform for, you know, giving all that information out and kind of talking about those preconceived notions that people have when it comes to cannabis and working out. A lot of times people are like, whoa, how are you going to work out if you're high? Like, how are you going to do that? But people don't understand that there's certain dosages that go into dosing properly for fitness versus overdosing and laying on the couch and eating a whole bag of chips instead.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not sure if you heard, there was, I believe, like a study that came out a while back in which if you use cannabis, and there's like the whole stereotypical of like being a couch potato, but when you start doing an activity, such if you're going on a hike or bike riding or going to the gym, it keeps enhancing that activity. Kind of like you're using cannabis and then you're going to do the activity, so you're going to do it more often. Kind of like if you're washing the dishes and you're pairing it with watching the TV, it's that positive activity that's going together. So when you pair cannabis with a physical activity, you're more likely to keep on doing that.
Yeah, and it's a learning curve, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand in this specific space is it's a learning curve because you do have to train yourself to get up and do something when you do consume cannabis. When you are high, you do have to tell yourself, okay, let's get up, let's do this, and then you start finding that routine. Once you start finding that routine, once you smoke, you're like, all right, I don't want to lay down, I don't want to be a couch potato, I want to go on a hike, or I want to do this, or I want to go to the gym and do this. But it's a learning curve. It takes a learning curve instead of just, you got to get your dosage right. You got to be able to, get yourself in that mindset first, or it will be the stereotypical, kind of thing that people say. So, it's just all about education. And I love that you love to educate people on that. That's incredible.
And
Thank you.
And speaking of the Boston Marathon, how would you pair cannabis into your training for that?
OMG. So.
Now I'm curious. I want to run.
So there's this product called 1906 New Highs. I'm not sure if you guys have it on New Mexico. I hope you guys do, because if you do, you gotta get on it, because they have different kind of like flavors, not really flavors, but there's 1906 Go that it is used for, working out, long distance runs, or even you want to do your chores. There's 1906 Bliss, kind of like that happy feeling. 1906 Love, for that special love connection. So for my training, I use 1906 Go, and that keeps me going for like my long distance runs. And after I do like a really long run, I use the Muscle Freeze to really help my quad muscles. And fun fact, when I did the Boston Marathon, I took a little break. I went to the side, a little hiding spot.
Yes.
I had my vape pen. It was halfway through. I already hit 16 miles, and I was like, I need to
pick me up.
I need something.
So I was like, I'm gonna go behind this tree, make it look like I'm having a potty break, and I hit my pen, and I was like, I'm ready to go, and I just kept on going. I did not stop for even walking. I just kept on going. It was a rainy day, and yeah, it was such a memorable experience for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and just like you said, that's funny that you say that. Like, I had to take a little smoke session, just a tiny little smoke session. There's nothing. It's the same on if you were to do like another energy, like if you were to take like an energy pill. Like, it's so acceptable for people who are in marathons and people who are in fitness to be like, okay, hold on, I need to take my energy pill, or I need to take this, I want people to understand and realize it's okay to take a puff while you're in the middle of it, just like it is to take your energy or your pre-workout or your continuing energy. I want people to feel safe and okay with the fact that they can take a minute and just take a quick puff and be right back on their way. That's acceptable.
That is for sure. That after I hit the half mile, like the half point, I was at 16 miles. I was like, all right, it's time for that little puff break, because I'm not sure if we're gonna walk the rest of this or I'm gonna run. And it really rejuvenated my whole body, my soul, my mental even, and I kept it going. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's inspiring,
That's great.
really, because you see a lot of people that have these like you said, stereotypes against the cannabis consumers. And look at you running marathons. New York's next.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, New York City is next. November 5th. I'm going to hit my little puff breaks too in that one.
Yes, as you should.
Can't even do Run for the Zoo, man.
One day we'll get there. We'll get there. So, thank you for joining us and giving us some of your time today, Ilia.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely.
Course.
Well, keep on doing the good work that you're doing and inspiring people to learn more about cannabis and fitness. That's incredible. And I applaud you for that. That's great. And I hope that you continue on with your journey.
And
Thank you so much.
And I'm sorry. And where can our audience members find you?
Oh, you could find me at Instagram, the @ Ilia Maria _ ILIA Maria MARIA, the little underscore. And I also have my website, iliamariacoaching.com.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you back in the future.
Yes, I'm super excited, and thank you so much for this amazing platform. I'm so excited to see y'all grow and even grow with y'all, and I'm definitely taking you up on that
Yes.
that offer to come teach a class.
Oh, yes. When we are open and running, you
We
will
got
be the
you.
first on the list.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to the Counterfeit Podcast with our final guest, Miss D. Williams.
Yay.
Yeah. How are you doing today,
Thank
D?
you, Beth. I'm amazing. Thanks for having me today. I'm excited about being here.
Yeah. And so D, just to give you guys some more information, D. Williams is the founder of Reskillify, thecannabisboard.com. She's also a business startup coach, author as well. Geez, look at this. Of Individual Audacity and much more. D, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yes, my name is D. Williams, Audationaire, and I am the founder of the Cannabis Job Board, which is really why we're here, right? I'm the founder of the Cannabis Job Board, and I do own a number of other tech platforms. But I want to talk about the Cannabis Job Board because that is what Cannafit is all about, right?
Yeah, look at you. Thank you, honestly, for providing us, what made you start the Cannabis Job Board? Because you just noticed a gap, right?
Definitely. Well, I have been a coach and trainer in the cannabis industry for the past 10 years plus. I've been recruiting for about 20 plus years. I know I look good.
Nah.
But I've been recruiting for a long time. And in 2014, I got certified in the cannabis space to consult with cannabis businesses. And I did see the gap between hiring in the industry, regulation and compliance, and also being able to bring great talent from other industries into the cannabis industry and cultivating the talent that was already in the cannabis industry now that we're in a more legalized space, right? And so I built the Cannabis Job Board in 2015 initially, and started that journey to connect the client, the employer with the job seeker. And I really played with it, to be honest with you, in this journey. I know I'm giving probably too much too early, but I want to say, because this is really important, like the cannabis industry has been blossoming over time. And so it's been like up and down, up and down, up and down. And so my job board was kind of moving with the environment, and then COVID hit, and cannabis employers started calling me from everywhere, posting jobs. We need delivery drivers. We need bud tenders. Because like everything was, the only thing was open was like the grocery store, Walmart, the liquor store, and your cannabis shop, right? And so my technology was not working. And I was working on my Reskillify product platform, and the phones were going like crazy. So I asked my developer, do we have anybody else on the team that can help us redefine what we want the cannabis job boards to look like? And we did, and we started to build out this engine that's absolutely phenomenal. And initially we wanted to mirror the cannabis job board to some degree as an Indeed for the cannabis industry, but it has gone far beyond that, where we become more integrated into the hiring process. We utilize artificial intelligence. Everything is mobile for both the employer and the candidate. So it's just gotten really intense, and I'm really excited to be a part of this industry during a time where everything is shifting, changing, and moving.
And isn't it exciting that the AI and the automation of the ability to automate so many things now? It's pretty incredible. I'm glad that you're also putting yourself in that space too. I see you YouTuber online. Can you talk more about that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's even good or not, because we both know that, like, they're predicting within the next 6 years, things are going to look a lot different with artificial intelligence, and even urging the government to kind of regulate it before it regulates us. So I'm not sure how excited I am about that, but the emergence of artificial intelligence and the way that we're utilizing it now is absolutely phenomenal. Being able to integrate it into my products is so exciting. Being able to integrate it into my business world and showing my clients how to integrate it into their world is exciting. But I think what's most exciting is watching the artificial intelligence evolve. and watching how we as humanity are evolving with it. Time is speeding up so much faster just because we're now more aware of artificial intelligence. So how will we use it? And what else can I build to help us counter the things that we want to fight against, quote unquote, and to enhance the things that we want to evolve in a more strategic type of way. So I am on that journey with AI. I'm incorporating it into every tech platform I have. I have two. I'm working on two, and I'm working on patenting a product that we're integrating AI and VR into. So I'm really excited about AI, and I'm teaching it every week. I've got like 20 new lives lined up for the next month. I'm so excited. I'm geeked up.
It's exciting
That's
time.
awesome.
Yeah. And so we have a few questions here for you. All right. So what would you like to this is a good one, honestly. I wanted to ask you this one. What would you like to see change within your industry or the communities within the next few years?
Within the cannabis industry?
Yeah,
or
both.
in recruiting in cannabis as a whole?
Yeah, yes. Recruiting cannabis in the cannabis industry, yes.
Because those are two different industries that I feel like we're merging together. So I wanted to just clarify. What I would like to see specifically in the staffing industry is for us to go back to being more relationship focused and also focusing on the talent that people actually bring to the table. Not just what they have done in the past, but what they have the ability to do in the future with the with upskilling, reskilling, skilling, however you want to call it. So those are some of the things that I would like to see change. In the cannabis industry, regulation around how people are paid, whether it's through payroll, whether it's through when you go to the cannabis shop, some places you can't use your credit card, or the name comes up on your bank statement is something totally different than what you've done. Like, we just need to fix the regulation. It's time for cannabis to be 100% legal everywhere. It's no reason for it not to be. They need to let everybody out of jail who's been arrested for cannabis, and we really I feel like we need to start focusing on pressing charges against manufacturers who create sugar and put it in our food, because that is 10 times more deadly than cannabis will ever be. But
and addicting too, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
And Ashley, did you have a question?
Yeah, no, I do have a question. I want to kind of get to know a little bit more of Dee yourself. So, I want to know what your biggest catalyst has been where you decided that I no longer want to work for other people. I want to do this myself, and I want to be my own entrepreneur. What kind of inspired you to do that? What inspired you to kind of go off on your own and be like, it's a scary adventure, but I'm going to do this?
Do we have a moment?
No,
We have
give us
a
three.
moment.
Okay. So you want to know, that's a great question. So first, I'm going to take it way back for you to understand how I got here. So first, I was born in Baltimore, okay, in the 70s. So during a time where things were definitely different than where they are now. By the time I was 8, I had been raped for the first time, okay? So by my babysitter, and had already experienced being touched by my stepfather. I became a runaway for a while, where I kept running away from my mom because it was just a lot of things going on. I felt like she didn't have the ability to handle at that time. We moved away. I kept running away, and my life just kept getting more intense and intense over time. And by the time I was 11, I was pregnant, right? And had my first child when I was 12. Okay, so I was raped and had my baby. I decided to keep the baby. And then I was pregnant again when I was 15, moved out and got my own place in Baltimore and raised my 2 children. That was the start of my journey. Around there, I was on welfare. And I was literally living in a rat-infested house on the 3rd floor with no refrigerator, no stove, a newborn baby, and a toddler. And I was 16. And I was trying to figure out what was for me, who I was, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And a few things happened in a very short period of time. One of the things that happened was I told you I didn't have any bottles. I didn't have any a refrigerator or stove. So I would take my son's bottle. So first of all, when my youngest son was born, he was 1 pound, 13 ounces. So by the time I brought him home to our new apartment, he was 4 pounds. So he was still very young. He couldn't walk. He was mature in looks, but tiny in body, like really, really tiny. So I didn't get a chance to breastfeed. So anyway, I'm in my place. I'm excited that I'm in my own place, even though everybody else around me is cringing. I'm excited. But I don't have all the necessary tools because the guy who I rented the apartment from was a slumlord. He's renting out an apartment to a 15-year-old little girl, 16-year-old little girl, right? So no refrigerator, no stove. So I was taking the bottles, and to warm the bottles up, I would put them in bowls and put them in water so I can warm the bottles up to feed the baby. And then I would take them and put them out on the fire escape in the snow so they would stay cold. Okay.
Wow.
That's very smart. That's what I thought. Yeah. So this particular night I was asleep, and my baby was so little that I could not put him in the bed with me. I didn't want to put him in the crib. He was so tiny. He was very tiny. So he slept in a car seat. And that way you can put the cushions around and what have you. So he slept next to me, and I was on the floor. And I remember, like how I'm talking to you all, I was dreaming. And in my dream, I was looking at myself and I was saying, wake up, wake up. And I was shaking myself, wake up. And I kept saying, Kitty, wake up, wake up. And I said, wake up. And she said, wake up. I'm screaming at this point, like screaming and pushing myself in this dream. And when I woke up and I said, wake up, there was a rat sitting on me. Oh. And I said, and I threw it. And when I looked to my left, it was one sitting on my baby. I was like, wow, I slapped the rat off my baby, and I cried so hard this night. Like, I just could not get myself together. And I said, something's got to change. Something's got to change, okay? I'm just giving you just like pieces so you can see how I got here. So very shortly after, around this time, my all of these things kind of happened within a very short period of time. My sons woke up in the middle of the night crying. My baby woke up in the middle of the night crying. This is all in like the same week or so, month maybe. And he starts crying, and I go out to the fire escape to go get the milk. And I go put my hand out there, and as nothing, I don't feel anything. So I stick my head out and look, and all his bottles have been broken into. Rats were literally broke the milk bottles and drank all my baby's milk. And I had no money. I had nothing. And I cried my eyes out. I called my cousins who lived 2-3 blocks away. They said not a big deal. It was a snowstorm in Baltimore. They walked like 1.5 miles to 7-Eleven, got some Similac, walked back to my house, consoled me for a little bit. I asked them to leave, and I said, something's got to change. So it was circumstances, things like that at that point in my life that really made me start thinking about, like, who am I? Who am I going to be? What am I going to do? Is this going to be my story? Are these going to be my kids' story? Is there more to me? Because everybody around me was telling me I wasn't great. I was bad. I didn't really share my story. People had already had an idea in their mind of who I was and what I was doing, and it wasn't true at all. And so since they had already created a narrative for me, I allowed them to think that when it wasn't true. So they would say things to me like, you ain't going to be ish. I don't know if you can curse on this podcast, but you ain't going to be ish. You never are. Like, you're going to be a baby daddy, a baby mama with 6 kids by 6 different men with gold teeth, the Baltimore thing. Like, they had already pretty much told me who I was going to be. And I was like literally fighting, trying to figure out whether or not I was supposed to listen to their story or whether I needed to create my own. And as things continued to happen to me, I started to see that there are a lot of very bad people out there who are definitely not down for helping me at all, and that are looking to take from me and tear me down. But every now and then, God, the universe, whatever you want to believe, showed me that there are people out there that will look beyond what they see physically, and they will connect with you as a human being, as a soul, and they will give from their heart because they see that you deserve it and they know you're going to do something with it. And I also got to have those experiences. So when I decided I don't want to be on welfare anymore, whoever these people are driving down the street in these nice cars, what are they doing? What did they do to get there? I want that. How do I get that? So how do I get off of welfare? So I went to my family. I said, okay, I'm getting off welfare. They was like, what? That sounds ridiculous. Yeah. I said, no, I want to get off of welfare. I want to go get a job. I want to get off of welfare, and I'm going to like figure this thing out. And they was like, why would you do that when they're giving you the money? They're doing everything. You're getting everything. And I just felt like I needed so much more. So I knew then I didn't have a lot of support there. But I had two cousins that was down for it. And so they said, we heard about something. You want to come down? I said, sure. I came down. They didn't get the job. I did. That was at a hotel, right? I didn't stay there long, but it was my first taste of getting off of welfare and doing something with myself. And in my spare time, I would take my kids on the bus, 40 minutes up to Towson, go to the library and teach myself how to use Microsoft. Because I was going to the temp agencies, which is the work that I do now, believe it or not. But I was going to temp agencies trying to get a receptionist job or an admin job so that I could make more money. And so, you know, I was doing this, but every time I would go to take the test, I would fail. I would fail every time. So I kept going to the library, taking my kids. I was practicing. And one day the librarian was like, my kids I didn't have money a lot. So my kids were crying, my son, my baby, and the lady came up to me, the librarian. She's like, are these your kids? And I was like, yeah. She's like, how old are you? And I was like, 16, you know. She's like, what are you doing here? Where are your parents? I don't have any parents right now. And she just like, when's the last time you fed these kids? And I was like, earlier. So I saw what she was doing and I said, okay, she's going to try to take my babies, you know? And so she went in the back, got my kids some crackers or something. She asked me more questions and then told me come back tomorrow and bring the kids. I was thinking, ain't no way in heck I'm doing that. Yeah. I got on that bus. I was sweating. I was like,
Kind of private eye?
Back. Go take my babies. I slept on it, woke up the next morning, and I went back and took my babies. And when I got to the library at Towson State University, they had a play area set up for my boys. Oh. And they took my boys over there, and the librarian, sat with me every day that I came up there, worked with me, helped me learn Microsoft. I would go back down, take my test at the temp agency, come back, be like, didn't do it. Like, okay, what you with? Then we'd practice some more and go back until I actually was able to pass with flying colors. I was able to get a job, and that was my first time working with a temp agency, but I was working big time, you know. I was like, I was making more money. You know, and it was like, it was a change. It was a shift. So and that was kind of the start of me moving out of my old thinking and my old mindset into a newer mindset and starting to look at corporate America as an opportunity for me to establish myself. And I will say that I have so many stories I could tell you. I could keep you all here for days, but my life went up and down in like a roller coaster from that point forward, and in ways that I can't even explain to you. But I'll fast forward to, many years later. I wanted you to know that story so you'll understand. As I've gone through my career, I've always been really good at what I do. I'm an amazing recruiter. I do an amazing job of finding talent that most people can't, and I can match them up really well. And so I became a value asset in the recruiting and staffing industry. And life forces you to do different things. And when people begin to not appreciate you, and they don't see the value in you and what you can bring to the table, you begin to value yourself differently. And I felt over time that I had been through so much and I worked so hard to create this different version of myself that was different than the story that I was maybe supposed to have or that people had created for me. I just felt like it was so much more for me to do. So I stepped out and I started my own business. That caused a divorce. It helped it. Not caused it, but it helped it. It caused a move. It caused me to lose everything. It caused me to fail and go back to work. I went back to work depressed for about a year, maybe two. And then my boss one day, I made a decision that I wanted to leave. And my boss was so condescending, like, so what are you going to do if you leave? Why don't you just go head back to your desk? Let's act like we never had this conversation. Sit down and do what you do best. We don't play them games. And so he said, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll go start my own staffing company or my own, coaching company and teach people how to be better than how I'm being treated now. And he laughed, and it was the most disgusting laugh ever. But it was one of, get the hell out of here. That you know clearly that's not going to happen. And I don't know, that lit something in me. It changed the direction of my life because it made me feel like, who are you to tell me what I can't accomplish? You don't even know anything about me. You don't know my life story. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've overcome. And you definitely don't know what I have the ability to do, clearly. Because if you did, you would be trying to find other ways to keep me rather than to tear me down to keep. Right? So I quit without a car that day, without nothing. I quit. I got drunk that night, had some wine, woke up the next morning and started this journey. And I started my business and I started really taking that entrepreneurial journey really seriously. And got cancer in 2013. So I thought I was going to have to close my doors. And they told me I had 3 months to live, so it was on. The intensity was on, and in that 3 month time period, I had to use cannabis, amongst other things. And I was so interested in what the young lady was saying earlier, because shifting your mindset is not something that's so easy to do. But when you're forced to decide, do I want to live or do I want to die? Right? And if I'm going to live, what do I want to do with the work that I'm doing here? And if I'm going to leave here, what have I done to ensure that I'm leaving a legacy? You begin to see things so differently. So I decided to live, regardless of what the doctor said. Clearly, I rule. Mm-hmm. And while I was on my deathbed in those 3 months, I built what people see now, my empire. Right? I started to build my empire step by step. And cannabis was a part of that. It was a major part of my journey. Sativas helped me build this empire. I would say that proudly. The work that I did with reprogramming my mind and building my empire with the assistance of sativa has been nothing more than amazing. And I do feel that it was a major journey. It was a major help in my healing journey as well. And it really fueled me in a totally different way. So now I live with even more purpose than I did before I even had cancer. I was living with purpose then, but now I live with purpose in a totally different way. And entrepreneurship to me is not just something that I do to make money. I get to make great money because of the work that I do, but it's something that I do because I feel that I have something to say. I feel that I have more to give. I feel that I can't leave here without ensuring that other people understand what they have the ability to do and how they can do it no matter how hard it is. So when I meet people and they say, what do you do? I'm a resilience coach. I'm a resilience expert. I'm a brand strategist. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an author. I'm a podcast host. I can go on. I'm a music producer. A lot of people don't know that, right? So I do a lot of different things, but all of those things are about leaving my legacy and making sure that I can support somebody else when they're on their journey, and not just their entrepreneurial journey, their career journey, their life journey, all of that. So that was a long answer.
That was great.
But I think I had to give it to you in order for you to understand the value of that.
No, thank you for sharing your story. Honestly, it's so inspiring. And by sharing your story, you're helping so many others see maybe that they were in one of your previous situations. They can see themselves out of it, being like I can relate to seeing like a nice car and a guy driving and being like, how who does this guy know? But the first step, like the theme between all of our guests today is courage. Because people can't save themselves if they're drowning, right? So, like for example, like when you were in the library, the librarian took notice, and you took courage to take that offer, and it's, hey, look where you're at now, it's just a ripple effect after ripple effect, and you're creating some great ones. So thank you.
Yeah, I definitely, I want to touch on that. I definitely want to, tell you how much I admire your drive and your willingness to conform, not conform to what people thought that you were going to be. They already had you, stereotyped. They had you stereotyped that you're not going to be nothing, you're not going to do anything, you're not going to do this. You took that power within yourself, all that power that you had to fight that you didn't even know you had, and you pushed that power to exceed those expectations and break those walls and break those, boundaries and set new boundaries for yourself. It's truly empowering, and it's incredible because your story is something that should not be taken lightly by people. And it's incredible. It's incredible to see that, especially for yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, I'm sure you see yourself and be like, I still see this 11-year-old girl. I still see this 12-year-old girl. Like, we did it. That satisfaction that you can give yourself that you did it. Like, I give you so much respect for you being able to not conform to those stereotypes that people stereotyped you as, and not give up. There was no point in your story where you gave up, and you holding that true to that story and holding true to the values that you've had your entire life have brought you to where you are now. And the fact that you're able to, give those to other people and save other little girls who are in that situation, and, little girls, little boys, it doesn't matter who, you're trying to save them. And that is absolutely incredible. You are a one-of-a-kind human. No joke.
Yeah, no, seriously.
And I want to say that really quickly that it does take a lot of courage to be able to decide that you're not going to accept somebody else's vision of you. But I do want to be very authentic with you and let you know that I've always wanted to give up. And just because I didn't give up doesn't mean that the pressure wasn't so heavy that I did not feel like I wanted to give up. I mean, even now running a business, I've got 40 employees all over the globe. I mean, literally in different time zones. I'm running 3 different companies. I'm the sole owner for all 3 companies. I have international, it's a lot. Payroll is more than I didn't even understand. So the pressure weighs a ton. Is getting too heavy, okay? And you do get to those moments where you're like, I am done with this. But I'm going to tell you what I found recently. Now I have built an amazing circle. Okay. I have such an amazing network. People on my team, my friends now, my family. I am so blessed that my network is there to support me. So when I call them and I say, this is it, I'm done with it. They like, nah, that ain't happening. Get yourself together. But back in the day, I had nobody. And that was a different type of resilience. That was a different type of courage, because I had a different friend circle and I had a different relationship with that family. And and nobody was saying, "Girl, you got this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
nobody
people,
was saying, "You can do it."
yeah, sometimes people just don't want you to succeed. Sometimes people
Yeah.
don't want you to succeed, and they want to see your downfalls. They prey on your downfalls. They prey on the negativity. And, you know, being able to overcome that and being able to kind of step out of that and be like, no, you can't tell me what to do with my own life. You cannot tell me how to live my own life. And that is something that, you know, it's within everybody, but finding it within yourself is a hard process. And
I call it individual
Yeah.
audacity.
yeah, there you
It's
go.
called individual audacity.
That
You
is
have a
your
whole
plug.
book on it and
Oh,
everything.
Plug it. Oh, Dee, thank you for being such a wonderful guest
Definitely.
and spending your time here with us. We will be closing out here soon. Where can our audience find you?
Yes, come see me at staffingpreneursacademy.com if you're interested in starting a cannabis staffing business come to see me also at the cannabisjobboard.com if you are looking to hire cannabis talent or if you're looking to bring your talent into the cannabis industry or if you're already in cannabis industry and you want to showcase your talent. Let me tell you, it's nothing like the Cannabis Job Board on the market. So come on in. We would love to support you in your career journey. And then if you're looking to level up, upskill, reskill, skill, come to reskillify.com. If you're looking to build your own cannabis coaching brands or cannabis, you want to teach cannabis, Reskillify is where you go to build coaching brands and courses and your consulting brand and different things like that. You can find me anywhere, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm popping.
No, we appreciate your accessibility. Look at you.
We can find you anywhere.
Yes, our audience will think that. So.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Dia. We really appreciate you joining us on our first episode of the Counterfeit Podcast. You know, we're very, very blessed to be able to speak with you today. So thank you.
Thank you.
So much for having me, and I wish you all so much success. The first episode is always a little rocky, but by the time y'all get to episode 10 or 12, call me back, honey.
Okay.
Oh yes, we will.
Okay.
We can see how it flows from there.
We have your connection.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Dee. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
That's a wrap. Thank you all for joining us today on the first episode of the Counterfeit Podcast.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast talking with everybody and kind of getting to know everybody's background with everything. Natasha, do you have anything to say?
No, just thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for having me, and I had a great time today.
Awesome. Well, I also want to wish everybody a very, very happy Pride Month. You know, it's our time to shine, guys. It's our time to shine. And, you know, I want to spread positivity and love to everybody out there. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you soon.